So hello all, welcome to the fourth podcast on Jouan segment of the T of HP. And I'm back with another update on the COVID vaccine. So since my last podcast, a lot has changed. I believe the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine has been approved by the UK, and now we have a couple of different vaccines being used around the world to fight the pandemic. So that's all pretty good. It's good news, right? It's good news. I was asked specifically to talk about the differences between each vaccine, and to be honest, not the expert in this subject. I just happen to have Google on my fingertips, so I can research things about these vaccines that come from websites that may or may not be credible. So I'll try to state my sources. So, according to the Observer, the Pfizer vaccine has to be stored at an extremely low temperature at negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit, which we discussed in previous episodes, while Moderna's vaccine can be stored at higher temperatures such as negative 4 degrees at around negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit, while the AstraZeneca vaccine can be stored at above freezing temperatures at 36 degrees to 46 degrees Fahrenheit. So during the winter break, I was mostly at home, and during this time I got an orchid, as you can see in the background. Got a beautiful orchid. I love this orchid. It's probably the least related thing to COVID I have discussed on this podcast so far, but I think it's pretty interesting. So I did quite a bit of research on how to take care of this orchid, and because I'm new to this and I do not want it to die. So the one thing that I found interesting was that occasionally there will be a keiki that grows on the orchid. So a keiki is like a baby orchid, and once the keiki is big enough, you can cut it off and it will grow to become its own orchid. So eventually, 30 years down the line, you'll see me with my exponentially growing army of orchids taking over the world. No, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's cool to speculate, and they're not the best thing to take over the world with. There's much more effective means of taking over the world. But I thought this was a pretty clever way to reproduce. Then I thought, wow, is it possible to make something that reproduces itself, or to engineer something that is self-replicating? So it becomes its own sort of a non-organic and non-biological self-replicator. So it's like non-biological life, which sounds like an oxymoron, but please bear with me. It turns out that I'm not the first one to think of this, and there are many people that have thought of this in the past, and they have published their ideas on the internet. So one of these people is John von Neumann, who was a mathematician, and he had an idea called the von Neumann probe. So basically, it's a self-replicating robot that floats in space. And what it does is it has all the instructions inside on how to replicate itself, and it kind of sort of acts like its own organism because it can mutate by replicating itself wrong. And this is kind of like, and therefore it is subject to selective pressures like any other biological organism, and because it is subject to selective pressures, it's kind of evolves like any other life form on Earth. So there's another theory that among the stars there's this thing called gray goo, which is basically a von Neumann probe, but it's much smaller. It's microscopic, right? These tiny non-biological, which is the point of them, machines are engineered to take stuff out of their environment and use it to self-replicate. So it sounds more and more like artificial life, except in this case it's probably more along the lines of artificial bacteria, so things that are so small to see, but imagine swarms of them. So for this section, I've done research from Wikipedia, which is not the most reliable source, but it's good enough to get by, at least for me. So there may very well be some fatal flaws in all of these ideas. However, matter is not the only thing that reproduces. there are other things that reproduce, such as ideas, right? Ideas on the internet. So, so there's a thing called memes on the internet. I'm sure all of you guys know what memes are. I think I know what memes are. But the original idea of a meme was actually coined by an evolutionary biologist. Yes, it's all coming together now, isn't it? His name was Richard Dawkins. In his book, The Selfish Gene, where he argues that the gene is ultimately what tries to survive and reproduce, not the organism, because the gene is just the ultimate self-replicator, because that's exactly what it does. So it explains a lot of things in biology that I do not know, and so now let's get to the definition of memes. So the definition of memes is a meme acts like a unit for carrying cultural ideas or practices that can be transmitted from one mind to another through writing, speech, gestures, rituals, or other imitable phenomenon with a mimic theme. So this is according to a person that wrote a book from Wikipedia, so take that as you will. And says supporters of this concept regard memes as cultural analogs to genes that they self-replicate, mutate, and respond to selective pressures. So memes are kind of like genes. They're genes, but they are transmitted from person to person through non-genetic means, and so their ideas transmitted through, say, you talking to somebody, you sending a text, or sending memes or whatnot. So the Google definition, I think, is much simpler, but it broadens the definition. So according to Google, a meme is an element of culture or system of behavior that may be considered to be passed from one individual to another by non-genetic means, especially imitation. So in short, memes are just things, not necessarily things in the Newtonian sense, but ideas that are transmitted from person to person through non-genetic means. So this encompasses the traditional sense of the word meme. So usually a meme is a funny picture with a caption or text. Well, I mean, it could be a video too, or some edited element to express an idea. That thing, it's not really matter, but it's more of an idea, right? So for example, like a typical meme that you find on your phone is really if you get down to the bare bones, it's a bunch of flashing lights on your phone screen that's stored as bits inside your phone, which none of it is matter per se, but it's just information, right? It's information, and your phone is just a method of transferring this information or meme. It's a method of your phone is a method of transferring the meme rather than being the meme in the traditional sense. So this would mean many other things are memes according to the definition of meme by Google. So for example, language is a meme. Even though people have brains people like humans have brains that are adapted to learn language faster than if we didn't have those same structures in our brain. But that doesn't mean language is innate in us, because if no one taught you how to use language, you wouldn't be able to use language. It's not innate in the person, and it's passed down from person to person through non-genetic means. After all, so by definition, any idea from your friends or parents, such as ideas of morality, what's right or wrong, political ideologies, even parts of fake news and real news, is also a meme. It's an idea passed down from person to person through non-genetic means, is it not? This would mean that everything you learned in school technically is a meme under the if you follow the Google definition. So math is a meme, science is a meme, history is a meme, art's a meme, music's a meme, and of course, no, I won't mention the classes that I want to say are memes. So for all these classes are technically memes. because they're not innate to people, and they're just a collection of ideas passed down from person to person, aren't they? And through non-genetic memes. So, non-genetic means, not memes. So each individual unit of information, whatever that might be, for instance, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's a meme because it's an idea or element of culture that is passed down through from person to person through non-genetic means. There are many other things that are technically memes under the definition. Under the definition that who's the biologist? The biologist. I had the biologist in there somewhere. Coined by Richard Dawkins, right? Yes. The idea of the meme coined by Richard Dawkins is what he meant. So yeah, it fits under that idea. So memes evolve just like organisms and their respective genes. So the gene is almost analogous to a meme in the way they self-replicate. For example, the Drake format meme. Originally, it was 2 pictures of Drake. I believe he's a rapper. Drake. Yes, he's a rapper. Okay. So it was originally just a picture of Drake with 2 captions. The meme went viral, and now it is all over the internet. It has been a huge success for the meme, and it has survived and replicated an innumerable amount of times. So memes are ideas and not matter, like biological life is. So you can print out the meme on a sheet of paper, but it's not the paper that matters. It's the idea itself, and it would have made no difference in meaning if it were printed on a piece of plastic or painted on a wall, or if it were cast on a movie theater screen. It'd still be the same meme. So as the meme evolves, so as people edit it, people often replace the text. People will, and the meme evolves as people replace Drake's head with the head of somebody else or something else, and then even go as far as to replace Drake entirely, and even edit the format of the meme. However, that does not change that doesn't change the meme, the core idea of the Drake format meme. Any meme that results from this Drake format meme that fails to be funny is not shared, and it dies off. So, due to selective pressures, such as the goal to be shared more on the internet, so that it evolves, so that the meme evolves, only memes that people deem worth sharing, such as funny memes, are allowed to replicate by being shared on the internet, which is a cool phenomenon, because most memes you find are funny, but that's just a result of memes memes that are not funny not being shared, which is the result of some sort of natural selection that happens with ideas, not just biological organisms. So this is not the case. This is not just the case. Not the case. It's not just the case for memes in the traditional sense that you find on the internet. So, some non-traditional sense memes you can also find on the internet, but memes in the formal definition sense also die off in the process due to selective pressures of people transmitting these memes and helping them self-replicate. So it's almost like a new form of life, like life as in a self-replicating entity. Life doesn't live in the Newtonian world per se. It lives in the world of thought. So ideas they spread, and they are shared from person to person through non-genetic means, but they're like a form of life, and they replicate through the minds of people, and all these ideas, the idea of how the meme spreads and how memes affect our everyday life are explored in the incredibly real field. I'm surprised that this field exists of memetics, which is the study of memes, which maybe I'll become a memologist one day. Yeah, maybe that's my future career path. So thank you for listening if you made it this far, and I hope you guys have a nice day.
This episode of the T of HP is brought to you by Coach's Choice. Coach's Choice USA/Select is a basketball training group that runs camps, clinics, and tournaments throughout the East Coast, as well as manage pro athletes. For more information, call Tom Sclafani at 732-501-4155 or go to their website at coacheschoiceselect.com.